إن الحمد لله نحمده ونشكره ونستعين به ونقدسه ونعوذ بالله من سيئات أعمالنا ونسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يعفو عنا ويجعلنا مفاتيح للخير مغاليق للشر أبدا ما أبقانا في هذه الأيام المباركة. We seek refuge in Allah from every evil within or around us, and we ask Him for forgiveness, and we ask Him to safeguard us from the evilness of ourselves and the evilness of the unseen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in the Quran, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentioned in the Quran, or you believe, and we have spoken about those that they believe. Everybody claimed to be a believer of Allah. If you ask anyone walking in the street, do you believe in God? He said, yes. Where is God? He pointed at heaven and he said, He's up there. But how you interpret that belief, how you can make sure that you are on the right direction of the belief of Allah, how you make sure that you are in communication, in the right contact with that Lord that He created you, and He took responsibility of sustaining you, He took responsibility of safeguarding you, He took responsibility of everything that you possibly need in this life. So, يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. O you believe, fear Allah and respect Him in the way that He wanted to be respected. And Allah also have mentioned in the Quran that وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ, that I have not created the spirits or mankind except to worship me. Are we really offering that kind of worshiping that pleases Him? And I don't want to go before that because that's a long story, but we can speak about it later. But let's talk about how we can be on the right path, the right faith, the right direction when we raise our hand in humility, pleading to our Lord, God, here I am in need of your help. We became so materialistic with our requests and our pleading to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Him for wealth. We ask Him for states. We ask Him for things that we own. Why? Because we became too greedy. Why? We misunderstood our position in this journey. Yes, we are in a journey. We have treated this life as eternal, but it's not eternal. Today we are sitting on a chair, I'm standing here, you are sitting right there. Somewhere there is a funeral, there is a janazah, someone have died. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ, do not die except as Muslim. What is being a Muslim? Being a Muslim is to be submissive, to be an obedient, to be fulfilling your responsibility to worship the Lord that He created you, and He have sent you from the paradise of Eden to prove something, to prove your innocence, to prove your loyalty, to prove your slavery to the one that who created you, to the Lord. Indeed, He is the only Lord. All the lords of mankind, all of them are underground. Their authority, their positions, everything that they have didn't benefit them, didn't save them from death. Because death is a must. Death is change your position of location. I mentioned we are in a journey. The journey has become when God have created everything. He have created the spirits, beginning with Adam. Before He created Adam, He have created the spirits. Each one and every one of us have a soul or a spirit, that it was created at the day that God wanted to create a creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, among those creation, He created earth, He created heaven, He created everything, a mountain, He created everything, animals, everything that's around you is created by God. Everything is within His hand. He is the one that He will tell anything be, it will be, by a word of command. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created Adam, after all that, He created Adam out of a very cheap substance, out of soil, out of mud. The best one among us, it doesn't matter how rich he is, or how eloquent as a speaker he is, it doesn't matter what's his authority or his position, beginning from being a policeman, or the chief of police, or the mayor, or the governor, or the senator, or the congressman, or even the president of the US, or the president of anywhere on earth. They are all created of a very cheap substance. And all, it doesn't matter what, they are going to end up being underground. And the difference between the position of each one of them and each one of us when we go underground is what we have accomplished while you were alive. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. I have created you. So you don't buy a cigarette, you don't buy a hit, you don't buy a liquor, so you get drunk and you forget what's going on. He didn't create you for any other pleasure of yours except to worship in Him. And He took the responsibility of giving you success if you really mean and you ask for the success. But we became too greedy when we ask Allah for the success, because we ask Him for everything that we wanted to have to maintain our life, because our concept of understanding of this life here, that we're going to live forever. Our concept is that I want to secure my family. I want to have a business. I want to buy a house. I want to have a car. I want to have a lot of money. So when I die, they can have a decent life. But you have forgotten that everything is in His hands. In the day of judgment, you are going to be standing by yourself. Of course, your wife, your family, your mother, your father, your kids, your brother, your cousin, your neighbor, they are all going to be around you. But each one for himself. Each one for himself. Your mother is going to call you, my son. You are a part of me. I have carried you inside my belly for 9 months or 7 months. My son, I was your interpreter after you were born, when you didn't know how to speak. I taught you, I trained you until you spoke. My son, my breast, it was your kitchen. So you were sustaining yourself out of my energy. And now I am weak. Mom, I am very good to you. But let's go back into the hereafter. That beloved mother of ours, she is going to come to say, my son, I need a favor from you. Only one favor. What is it that you want, Mom? I need just one good deed. Because there is an accountability that we are going to be standing for. Each one is going to be standing to answer to his account, to everything that you have done when you were alive. That's why when we are alive, we have to make sure that we are on the right path, we are on the right faith. We are offering the worshiping that pleases our Lord, and that's what He has asked us for. You will tell her, I am sorry. Because the fear that I have today is that I might fall short of one deed. And that deed is the deed that might qualify me to be among the people of heaven. To be with the most trustworthy people and all the messengers and all the wise people and the righteous people that they please Allah. So that day is myself. Nothing is going to benefit you except what you have done here. So being a Muslim is to be submissive, to be an obedient, to be able to offer the pleasure that your Lord, your Creator, the one that He had given you an honor over any other creation. Any other creation, they were created by the word of command, be will be it will be. But you were shaped by His hand. The breath that we have is from His soul, from God's soul. So we are honored. That's why Allah had given mankind the authority to supersede any power of any other creation, whether animals or mountain or anything, because we can control the mountains. But when He is upset, He can cause the mountain to rumble, to cause an earthquake. When earthquake happen, be sure that someone have disobeyed Allah to the max. So Allah, He sent a message. And who will understand that message are the believers. Those that they read the books, those that they read the Quran, those that they fall in prostration with humility. Lord, please forgive us if we have done anything that to cause you to be angry, with consent or with no consent. Because sometimes you make mistakes without knowing that it is a mistake. But Allah, out of His wisdom, He knows that and He forgives you. Allah, He said, my servant. In our deen, we have the Quran, we have Hadith Qudsi, and we have Hadith Nabawi. The Quran, it is the book of Allah. Al-Hadith al-Qudsi is the holy speech which, out of the privilege of Allah, that He knows that to a certain extent or understanding, we won't be able to comprehend or to understand the text of the Quran. So we need more translation, more explanation. So Allah, out of His wisdom, He sent one of His angels, and most of the time is Jibreel alayhi salam. He come and he gave the explanation in that text, Al-Hadith al-Qudsi, the holy speech, and he said, Ya Muhammad, or it could be during the time of Abraham, or even Isa alayhi salam, Jesus Himself, tell them this and this and that. So Allah, out of one of His Al-Hadith al-Qudsi, He said, Abdi, my servant. If you try to speak to me or to relate to me, I am here to listen to you. If you ask me for anything, I will make it happen. I have no wealth that have no end. I can give, and I don't have a care, or I don't have any limit to what I can give you or what I can provide you. But we became too greedy. Why? Because we wanted more. Why? Because we misunderstood the privilege of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He said, Abdi, I am here, my servant, I am here. Because we ask for more. But yet, when Allah created everything, He created everything in writing. There was a pen, and Allah have created the pen. And He inspired that pen to write everything that will happen and will happen. So that pen have wrote the name of every soul, which is my name, your name, every other person's name here, across the street, in the cars, everywhere else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He took the responsibility of sustaining us, giving us everything that we want. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave that promise, He took that oath upon Himself. So you don't have to worry about being hungry. You don't have to worry about being in need of anything. But you have to worry about what you can offer to please Allah in terms of worshipping, in terms of we are the people of knowledge. One of the texts of the Quran, it says read. So if you have to go to school, make sure that you are one of the best students so you can be well educated. We are instructed to be that. We are instructed to be honest in everything that we do in our life. So all what we need is a blessing. So if you ask Allah for blessing, for barakah, Allah will increase the authority, or He increase the strength of what He is offering you. Because He knows what you want. You don't have to ask Him. But you ask Him for blessing. You ask Him to safeguard you from the unseen. This in brief, what's Allah and what's Islam and who we are. The only thing is that all of us, including the majority of the Muslims, we misunderstood the character of Allah. We became submissive as a routine, not submissive with an understanding. Because the person will become accustomed to the way that he was when he was alive. A man have experienced the stupor of death. There is a pain, physical change in the body when you are about to die. We all familiar with that. So a man, when he was experiencing that, he asked that there was a friend of his, we call him Sheikh. The Sheikh, not necessarily to be a speaker or a man of knowledge. A Sheikh is a man, as a senior citizen, the elder one, whether from the neighbor or the family, they come to make it easy for the family and for the person during that transition from this life to another life. As I mentioned, we are in a journey, we are travelers. So you tell him, my son, please listen to me. Say, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Testify that there is no God but one God and Muhammad is his messenger. He tell him, Sheikh, give me a cigarette, please. So the Sheikh, he looked at him, because the man, he didn't occupy himself on how to please Allah. So he doesn't really understand the transition or the position where he is right now. He thinks it's a disease or sickness and he's gonna be well. Because يَأْتِيكُمُ الْمَوْتُ بَغْتَةً, death will come suddenly without any prior notice. No one have ever gotten a text message or an email that you're gonna die in 5 minutes or you're gonna die tomorrow. Therefore, Allah, out of His wisdom, He kept it like that, so you can be on guard. You can do your best to worship Him and to please Him. This way, when He causes you to die, you will be among the righteous one. This brother here, he wasn't among them. He was just living to please himself. Give me a cigarette. Brother, I see the way that you look, you are about to die. Say, I bear witness that there is no God but one God. He tell him, give me a cigarette. Do you have a pack of cigarettes? He kept repeating that so many times, and by the end, the man, out of sympathy, he's a man of wisdom, he's an elder man, he understands more than this person here. So he tell him, brother, I'm gonna make it easy for you. Just say Allah. Allah, it means God, it means the Lord. It means the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we talk about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He complained that mankind, those who are not Muslims, they harm me by saying that I have a son. That I have a son, and I am the one who created everybody. How could you? How could you? In that intelligence and that brain of yours that I have created you, and I have put everything for you to comprehend and to understand. How could you harm me and disrespect me, saying that I have a son? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and over that He gave us everything so we can continue living until the time that we die. So that man, the senior citizen man, the elder one, he have wisdom, he have knowledge. He tell him, I want to make sure that you just make it easy for you during the transition. If you mention the word of oneness of Allah, it means Allah, meaning He is the only Lord. Allah will forgive you. Allah also in the Hadith al-Qudsi, He said that if you ask me, I will provide you. And if you plead to me to forgive you for anything that you have committed, even without knowledge, I will forgive you. I will forgive anything. Allah is the most merciful. Allah is the pleasure Himself, so we have to please Him. So I tell him, just mention the word of the oneness of Allah. Allah will understand out of His wisdom and maybe He'll forgive you. He said, I can't. Why? Because this heart here is the place of belief in Allah, is the place of wisdom, not the brain. It's right here. Right here is the place for believing in Allah, the place of pleasing Allah, the place of sincering with Allah, So that place, it was filled with smoke, it was filled with adultery, it was filled with stealing, it was filled with a lot of things. It was filled with everything that make this life as your priority. There was no room in there at that very limited time that's been left for you to be in this earth to claim or to proclaim or to announce the word of Allah. He said, I can't. Because whoever lived all his life based on certain practice, you will die on that practice. But out of the mercy and the beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, glory be to him, is that when you raises your hand and ask him, forgive me, Lord, Allah will forgive you. It doesn't matter how bad deed that you have done. If you say, please Allah forgive me, and you drop dead right now, you're among the righteous people. So the deen of Islam is the deen of submission, is the deen of mercy. It is the deen that qualifies you to be among the winners in the day of judgment. So I hope that I have conveyed, a very fair, limited knowledge about what Islam is. Islam is the way to live. Islam is the way to succeed. Islam, it is the way to the paradise of Eden. Islam is the way to be among the prophets and all the most trustworthy people. And for the Muslims, that they were born Muslims and all that they have converted to Islam years ago, we have to correct our direction. We have to correct our understanding that all what we need from Allah is blessing. We don't need from Him wealth. Because whatsoever He wrote in the books, these our sustenance, from food to everything that we need during that journey, that's what it is. But if you ask Him for blessing, can you imagine out of His generosity what blessing will be? Umar ibn al-Khattab, radwanullah alayhi, one of the character of Islam, and he was one of the great leaders of Islam after the Prophet, peace be upon him, alayhi salatu wasalam. He stood one day among his closest companion and he said, raise your hand and supplicate to Allah, as the way that Umar will supplicate. So when he said that I wish to have the weight of the mountain of Uhud, one of the mountains that they have right there in the Arabian Peninsula, he said, I wish to have the weight of that mountain as gold. So he smiled. I tell him, what are you going to do with that? He said, I will spend it all for the pleasure of Allah. I told him, okay, how about you? He said, I would wish that Allah will give me lengthy life so I can preach for His pleasure. I said, okay, how about you? So everybody start to give his account of wishing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala his wish. And they tell him, how about you, Umar? He said, my wish is that Allah will make the heart of every Muslim as the heart of one of the character of Islam at the time. It was Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. So we have to be more intelligent when we ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wealth, you're going to have your own wealth, but you ask Him for blessing to what He actually wrote for you. Very much is that we live so we can please Him, and we can be prepared when we die to be among the successful ones. And when Allah causes us to die, you don't need someone to tutor you, to tell you, please, say, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because you already have said it once. Your heart have acknowledged that. Your mind start to command your body and to decide your action and your movement for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you die, you see a lot of things. One of the men that he was experiencing the stupor of death, everybody's looking at him. I was in the scene of too many people that they passed away. You see people, they are smiling. They see people that they say things. You see people that they are crying, people that they are complaining they couldn't even move. And every minute, please help me to sit down. I can't sit down. What's the difference? When he's having difficulty to move because he doesn't see the mercy of Allah, because he have never done anything to please Allah. So he is an absentee even during the time of death. The one that he smiled, he see a lot of things. That particular man that I'm talking about, when he was about to die, he smiled and he raised his finger. We call it the subaba. That's why every Muslim, when they said ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, they always raise that finger. It means the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, I bear witness that Allah is my Lord and Muhammad is the last messenger, the carrier to the seal of the prophecy. So that man, he said, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, and he gave another statement, small statement. He said, وَلِهَذَا يَعْمَلُ الْعَامِلُونَ. For this is what we have been doing all this life. They went, at his time, there was two scholars of Islam living. One of them is Ibn al-Qayyim al-Juziyya, and no, I'm sorry. One, it was Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and the other one, it was Al-Imam al-Shafi'i. So they run that story and that scene by each one of them in different places geographically. They said, Imam, we want to ask you, is that man was seeing something? He said, indeed. He was seeing the reward. He was seeing already the gates of heaven. Before Allah calls him in the last minute to leave, but Allah have uses him as a witness in the last second. He said, for that, it means that you are seeing something. So the man Allah calls him to see his place in heaven before he died. So Islam is the way to succeed here and underground and in the hereafter. All what we need is always to capitalize on our belief in Allah, to ask Him for blessing, to ask Him for forgiveness. So supplicate to your Lord the way that pleases you and you think that you are comfortable with that. Raise your hand and ask Allah for anything that you want to ask Him for. ادعوا ربكم وأنتم موقنون بالإجابة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. أما بعد. The best man after Adam that was created is Muhammad ibn Abdullah, the messenger of Islam. And Allah, when He created the souls, He have selected certain souls to be as a key to correct the direction of mankind. It was the soul of Adam, of course, the father of humanity. It was the soul of Ibrahim alayhi salam, or Ibrahim alayhi salam. It was Moses, Musa alayhi salam. It was Joseph, Yusuf alayhi salam, and all the other messengers, including Isa alayhi salam, Jesus, peace be upon him, including Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, He selected that person, Muhammad ibn Abdullah, and he is nothing. He doesn't have anything extra more than us. He's a man like me, like you, like everybody else. The only thing is, he was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the messenger. And he was chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the day of judgment. Mankind, they are going to be lined up since Adam until the last person was born. And all of them, they reach to Adam. Adam, please, can you speak to Allah? Plead to God. Ask Him to start the process already. We are getting tired. We are worried that even the people that they know that they were evil one, they became to the point of to be more ignorant. They said, we don't care. Send us to heaven. But tell him to start the process. Adam alayhi salam, he said, I am not the one. Someone is being authorized by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to start the request before Allah. I am not the one. Go to Abraham. Abraham, please. Abraham, he said, I'm not the one. Because each one of them have created a mistake. But Allah, out of His wisdom, He forgive that mistake. And He make that mistake to be as part of our life. Adam alayhi salam, the mistake that he did by touching the tree that he was forbidden to touch. But he have a reason. Because Satan have swear by the name of Allah that what he's about to tell him, it is the truth. So Adam had fall for that. He told him, Allah, you have taught me everything good, but you never told me that your name will be used in a lie. Allah, He said, I know, but I make it to happen because of your offspring. I forgive you. Abraham alayhi salam, he made a mistake with his wife Sarah when he was traveling to Egypt. And the dictator of Egypt at the time, he was a man that loved to womanize, and any woman that will come to Egypt will cross the gate. They didn't have immigration, by the way, at the time. They have gates. So people, they can travel wherever they want, and they knock on the gate, we are coming from this area. So Abraham alayhi salam, when he went to Egypt with his wife Sarah, he knocked on the gate and they allow him to be in. They already, the king have some spies or some informant. They tell him there is a beautiful woman, or there is a woman came to tell, bring her to me. So they tell him that she's in the company of another man. So Abraham, he stood before that tyrant, and Egypt has been always placed with a lot of tyrants all over the history. So Abraham, he stood before the tyrant of Egypt, and he told him, who's the woman that you are with? Abraham, he feared for his life. So he said, she's my sister. In fact, she was his wife. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had forgiven that little twist of understanding. Abraham, he meant it as to save himself from that dictator. He might gonna kill him in order for him to take that woman that he's with. But that's my sister. Sister, it's okay. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He make it happen that your wife is your sister. Your wife, she is your sister in faith. She's your wife. But in spirituality, she's your sister in faith. In the day of judgment, your mother, she's your sister in faith. Your daughter, she's your sister in faith. So we became to have the understanding that the wife, she could be the sister in faith. Moses alayhi salam, he killed one person unjustly, but Allah had forgiven. Everyone have made a mistake of the prophets, but Allah have made it as He gave the explanation to correct our understanding to a certain extent of the faith. Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, he didn't make one mistake, because the day since he was born, he was secured by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and all his marriages, they were from heaven. Allah have commanded him to marry Aisha, to marry every one of his wives. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, his life, it was in private like every other messenger. His life, it was publicly announced, so we can learn from him in the Quran. وَلَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, that you have a great example in Muhammad, your messenger. So the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was experiencing the stupor of death, he was in pain, of course. And his daughter Fatima, she came rushing and she screamed, what a catastrophe, what a bad day, what a problem, what a sad day. And then the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he pointed her closer to me, and he told her that I'm about to die. So she wept more. So he held her hand closer, because he couldn't speak. He didn't have the energy. He told her, but I have good news for you, that you are the first one from my family to catch up with me, and we are going to be in heaven. And he told her one statement before that, لا عناء على أبيك بعد اليوم, that there is no harmony, there is no difficulty There is no catastrophe upon your father after today. So in there we can understand that this journey of ours on this life here on earth, it's nothing more than a test. It could be a tough one, it could be anything, but it's not a comfortable one at all. If you speak to any rich person on the street, you don't see him laughing, you don't see him happy all the time. Most of the time he's depressed because he's trying to secure his estate. So everything is about the dunya. So the dunya here, if we understand it wisely, it is a test. So we have to take it as it comes and never be disencouraged. You have difficulty, raise your hand, plead to Allah. He knows, but Allah, He loves for you as His servant to relate to Him and tell Him, I need help. He adore you more, and He give you more, and He give you blessing. Is not that more than what is been written on the book to get. In the welfare system or the social security, you have a certain amount of money that you get, and that's it. But if you raise your hand to Allah, His welfare system and social security system, He will make things happen. So this life is nothing more, is a place of a test. Is a place where you can prove yourself as a righteous person or not. And everything is in your hand. The provision is coming to you, whether a believer or not believer. But you are the one who controls the righteousness. You are the one who controls by every action that you do, everything that have to lead and to prove and to show that you are an obedient, you are a submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the wisdom to be a submissive one. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to cause us to die except that we are submissive and we are a believer in Him. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before He causes us to die, He forgive and He delete and omit everything wrong that we have done is being written in our book. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the success here and the success underground and the success that we need in the day of judgment, to be qualified among the most trustworthy people, among the all prophets and all the saints. هذا والله أعلم وصلى اللهم وصلي وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله ربي على كل حال وأعوذ بك ربي من حال أهل النار. قوموا إلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
استقيموا يرحمكم الله وسووا صفوفكم فإن تسوية الصف من تمام الصلاة. Stand straight, fill up the gap and pray as if it's your last prayer. For the brother here, alhamdulillah, we congratulate you that you came to the right faith, to the right path, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He meant well by you. And for you, just offer the prayers with us. Take it as a movement, as a physical movement, because you don't know most of the words that we are going to recite. But inshallah, because of your submissiveness and your obedience to Allah, Allah will make it easy to learn faster than anything else. Allah will make knowledge come to you faster than anybody else. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وجاءت سكرة الموت بالحق ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد ونفخ في الصور ذلك يوم الوعيد وجاءت كل نفس معها سائق وشهيد لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد. قال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد. ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد مناع للخير معتد مريب. الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. وقال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد. ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد مناع للخير معتد مريب. الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد. قال قرينه ربنا ما أطغيته ولكن كان في ضلال بعيد. قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد. ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.